Reverend Eichberg, pastor of Mount Zion Baptist Church in Monroe, Education. And I would like to ask everybody if you could remember Representative Francis Thompson and the Thompson family and all their friends after the tragic accident yesterday. Pastor Bird, come on up.
Let's pray. Gracious and eternal God, our Father, Lord, how excellent is your name in all of the earth. And how we thank and praise you, God, for the privilege of being able to serve you. We thank you for your greatness and for your graciousness and for the fact that you're the Almighty God. God, when we consider your great works, we have to ponder the question, what is man that you're so mindful of him? And so we thank you now for all of the many blessings that you've shown upon us and showered upon us. And as we come together today, we pray that you would bless our time together. God, I pray for the Thompson family this morning, and I pray for Francis. I pray, God, for his entire family, that you would just strengthen them even now. I pray for our governor on this morning, and we thank you, God, for he and all the work that he's done for our state. All of our legislators, God, we thank you for them, and for our local leaders, our mayors, God, and our councilmen. We thank you for them. And God, we pray your blessings, God, upon all of the businesses and leaders and community partners that are here today to share with us. I thank you for our chamber, and I thank you for Roy. I pray your blessings upon him. And God, for the many institutions of higher learning, I pray that you would bless them as well. I pray now that you would bless the food that we're eating, that it might nourish and strengthen our bodies. We ask all of this in Christ's name we pray. Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Bird. You know what? It is a beautiful day in Northeast Louisiana. It's a beautiful day in Monroe, West Monroe, Sterlington, Richwood, Ouachita Parish, and all over our great community. And it's even a more beautiful day with the governor here. And you know what? We happen to be in the hottest region in the country right now. You know, and it's hot in a lot of different ways. Anyway, I got a favor to ask of everybody. We're going to do three things. I'm going to ask you to stand up. Everybody stand up. And we're going to do three things. And the mayor just cringed. He says, uh-oh. So, the first thing, everybody at your chairs should have a Louisiana flag. And I want you to start waving that state flag so the governor can see it. Last time the governor give out the biggest yell you possibly can to tell him this is a no, and we're on. This is the greatest state. I want you to tell them you shine. They make you happy when skies are gray.
Hey, I know you, Roy. It's a beautiful day.
It's a beautiful day. Now, hey. Now, all right, keep standing up. All right, we got to come back to order. Come back to order. Now, does that not make you feel great? Does that not reinforce the fact that, no, don't sit down, the head table, what are you doing? You got to lead the way. You can't sit down. No. The only person that can sit down, if your name is Governor John Bel Edwards and you're governor of the great state of Louisiana, you may sit down. Governor, go ahead and sit down. Governor, go ahead and sit down.
I feel like I'm being set up. Nobody's behind you.
Governor Edwards, on behalf of the Monroe Chamber of Commerce, our board of directors, our membership, and all of Northeast Louisiana, we want to thank you for leading us with honor and integrity for the last 8 years. You have guided this state through natural disasters, pandemic, and unprecedented growth. John Maxwell says, successful leaders have the courage to take action when others hesitate. Governor, you've never hesitated when it came to our best interest. You have defined servant leadership. I start so many events with the Bible verse, Jeremiah 29:11. It says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. As you and the First Lady leave to start a new chapter, you're leaving us with so much hope and so much future. God bless you, Governor, on your next chapter. Thank you for all you've done for us, and I'm going to ask everybody to give you a standing ovation for the great job you've done. Now you may sit down. Now, to get this party started, I'm going to introduce all these people at these two tables up here, and then there's some elected officials that I'm going to be mentioning. So anyway, bear with me as I go through some names here. You met our good friend, Pastor Ike Berg, down at the end from Mount Zion Baptist Church. Next to him is Dr. Randy Esters, Chancellor of Louisiana Delta Community College. And next to him is Randy Schuler, Vice President for Institutional Policy and Administrative Law for VCOM. Oh, he's going down. Okay. I thought I said something, which I could do. Anyway, next to Randy Schuler is Dr. Ron Berry, President of our University of Louisiana at Monroe. The rest of the state and the country know that university as the real university in Louisiana, just so you know. Next to him is the Honorable Matt Talbert, Mayor of the town of Sterlington. Next to him is the Honorable Mayor of the town of Richwood, Gerald Brown. Next to me is Jay Mulhern, my good friend, Chairman of the Board for the Monroe Chamber of Commerce and owner of Express Employment Professionals. Next to him is Governor John Bell Edwards, and you'll hear from him in just a minute. Next to him is the Honorable Friday Ellis, Mayor of the great city of Monroe. Next to him is Ashley Ellis, Bessie Board District 5 Representative and Director of Pre-Education Program at Louisiana Delta Community College and First Lady for the city of Monroe. Next to Ashley is the Honorable Stacy Mitchell of the great city of West Monroe. Next to her is the Honorable Shane Smiley, President of the Ouachita Parish Police Jury. Give it up for those folks if you would. Now, you see these folks along here every time you're at one of our events. They're the Hall of Fame of businesses that sponsor all the things that we do. And I'm going to start down at my right, your left. Our good friend William Smart, Executive Director for the Monroe Housing Authority. Next to him is Kevin Smith, Market Executive for Regions Bank. The Honorable Gretchen Ezernak, Chairwoman for the Monroe City Council. Chris Holyfield, Vice President of Holyfield Construction. Randy Stone, yes, Randy Stone, General Manager for KARD and KTVE. Then we have Caleb Etheridge, CEO for Etheridge Pipeline and Conduit. And Caleb told me that he's the better looking brother. That's why you're up here representing him. So I was just saying. Anyway, next to him is Jeremy Tenorello, President of Glenwood Regional Medical Center. Next to him is Brian Woodard, President and CEO for Louisiana National Bank. Beverly Lewis, Director of Economic Development Community Initiative for Ochsner LSU Health Monroe. Matt White, our good friend, Executive Vice President, Pellet Operations for Drax. Dr. Tom Gillette, President of St. Francis Medical Center. Allie Brasher, Public Affairs Specialist for Atmos Energy. The Honorable Bill Wilson, Monroe City School Board President and President of the Ouachita Parish Market and Senior Vice President of Commercial Lending for Century Next Bank. And then Susan Elaine is not with us. Next to Bill is our good friend, Market Leader, Senior Vice President for Origin Bank, Billy Haddad, and the most recent Monroe Chamber superhero. So anyway, and Jamie Hanks, our good friend, Director of Community or University Relations for University of Louisiana at Monroe, and then Richard Zuslog, CEO for Acadian Ambulance. And Richard, thank you for getting the governor here. Thank you for always coming up. You are welcome anytime. We're glad you're here. Thank you very much. And then we have Richard Ainsworth, Division Controller for Steel Fabricators DBA Lexicon. Latito Hutchison, Vice President of Communications and Community Engagement for J.P. Morgan Chase Bank. And then Chris Tingle, Market Manager for Stevens Media Group. Give a round of applause for all those folks. Also sponsoring today's event is Creed and Creed, First Horizons Bank, Homeland Bank, Johnny's Pizza, King Springs Water, Mid-South Extrusion, and the radio people. Give it up for those as well. I'm going to recognize some of our elected officials, and I was just looking down there to see if Neil Reiser made it today. Did he make it, Rodney? No, he didn't make it. Okay, Neil Reiser was supposed to be here. Rodney, when you talk to him, tell him we hope he's feeling better if you would. Representative Adrian Fisher, Representative Michael Eccles, Representative Foy Gadberry, Senator Jay Morris, and Senator Katrina Jackson. Please give me a round of applause for them. From the town of Bastrop, Mayor Betty Olive. From Monroe City Council, Councilwoman Juanita Woods, Councilman Carday Marshall. From the Ouachita Parish Police Jury, Scotty Robinson, Larry Bratton, Michael Thompson, and Lonnie Hudson. Now, I know Jack Clampett's here, but he yelled at me last time at one of these events, and I told him that I introduced him twice last time, and I was only going to do it once. Jack Clampett is here too. Jack, good to see you. Okay, good deal. From West Monroe Board of Aldermen, Rodney Welch, Morgan Buxton, and Tom Hamilton. Our good friend Judge Wendell Manning. From the Ouachita Parish School Board, Superintendent Todd Geis, board members Jerry Hicks and Harold McCoy. Please join me in giving those folks a round of applause. We'd also like to recognize former Congressman and now with the P-Card Group, our good friend Rodney Alexander. Hey, hey Rodney. Another good friend, Murphy Chestnut, with U.S. Senator Kennedy's office. Murphy's down there next to Rodney. Angie Robert with U.S. Senator Cassidy's office, and Senator Cassidy will be here next week. Angie, we're glad you're here. Ramona Martin with U.S. Congresswoman Letlow's office. So give those folks a round of applause. And Governor, I don't know where all your staff is, but we have Donald Dunbar, who I spoke to earlier, the special assistant. And then we have Jay Darden, who is the former Lieutenant Governor, former Secretary of State, now Commissioner of Administration. Hannah Kleinpeter, your press secretary, and Layla Harmon, who is the communications intern. Please give it up for them. And finally, the mayor has a special guest, Davon Barber. He's president and CEO of the New Orleans Downtown Development District. He's here to help us. Davon, we're glad you're here. Thank you for being here. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce the police jury president, Shane Smiley, to offer remarks on Ouachita Parish. Shane, come on up.
Gosh, I'm always last to speak, and Roy does this. I'm last getting here. You ever got in your car, Governor, they only gave me 60 seconds, so you ever got in your car and just started going where you normally would go, and when you get there, nobody's there? Well, that's the feeling I got at the Civic Center. I thought maybe everybody was parked in the back and we would all jump out and surprise him or something. So then you start calling everybody to find out, where's the event? I don't remember. Nobody answers their phone. Nobody. One person, and they said the governor just walked in. So anyway, I'm a little running late and flustered. But Governor, we want to, first of all, I want to say, Roy, thanks to you and the Chamber, our event sponsors. We appreciate you guys doing this for us. Governor, we want to welcome you back to Northeast Louisiana, back to Ouachita Parish. We've had a busy week here on campus. We've had the Pursuit was last week. We had the University Welcome yesterday at the Clark on 165, and then we have this event here on campus today. So it's been a very busy last 3 or 4 days, but you are the star of the show. Certainly we appreciate you and your leadership and your character over the last 8 years. Geez, I know when you ran, you never could have dreamed all these crazy things would happen, especially a global pandemic. But leadership starts at the top, and you've done a tremendous job, especially in terms of You certainly have been unwavering no matter what the situation has been. You've done a tremendous job in hiring your staff. As chairman of the Homeland Security Council here, and of course when we have a declaration, you know, the president's in charge, and we've had a great working relationship, especially with Homeland Security, Office of Community Development, Disaster Recovery. Your team, when they were overwhelmed with, I know, the CARES Act funding, ARPA funding, all of these new one-time funding mechanisms, they've done a tremendous job. You haven't forgotten us here. You haven't forgotten our universities. You haven't forgotten us in government. You've worked well with our legislators, and we truly appreciate you, and I look forward to hearing your address today. Thanks, Jay. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Shane. You know most people have caller ID where they see your name when you call. I'm just saying. I just think. I also missed newly elected Judge Angie Sturman sitting right down here. Nice to see you, Judge. Now I'd like to call on Mayor Matt Talbert with the Town of Sterlington to give a welcome. Come on up, Matt.
On behalf of Sterlington, it's my distinct honor to welcome all of you and welcome the governor to the beautiful campus of ULM. Coming into office in January is just the spirit of cooperation that is there between our local, state, and federal elected officials. At any time, any of these mayors, police jury members, they're willing to answer the phone. We're willing to talk to each other and work together to make Northeast Louisiana the best possible. And I think over the next 4 years, you're going to see the result of the played here. Before you go today, all of these Warhawk fans out here want your prediction on the Army Warhawk game. So you're going to have to give that to them before you leave today. Again, thank you all so much.
Thank you, Mayor. Now I'd like to introduce Mayor Gerald Brown to offer a welcome on behalf of the town of Richwood. Mayor, come on up.
Good afternoon. First, I want to thank Roy and the Chamber for this beautiful event that they put on today. It's always great to have the governor here, always great to hear from him. They told us 60 seconds. So when you think about a politician and a microphone in 60 seconds, that just doesn't work, does it? But I'm going to try. Look, I'm reminded of a governor, not this governor, but I'm reminded of a governor in a whole nother state somewhere else who ran for office, right? And he's going around to all these different communities. He goes to this rural community and he says to the people, he says, look, tell me what you need because I'm going to get it for you. And so the mayor stands up and he says, we need 2 things. We need 2 things. Tell me what they are. I'm gonna make them happen. He says, we need a hospital. We need a hospital for our people. Our folks have to drive miles and miles when they need adequate care. We need a hospital. So the candidate, he bangs his fist on the table and he says, you know what? I'm gonna take care of that for you. And he said, great, let me tell you my second. He said, no. I'm gonna take care of that for you right now. He gets his cell phone out, starts doing his thing, you hear him. He says, these folks need a hospital. They need doctors, they need land. And let me tell you something. I'm going in my pocket and I'm gonna donate the first 100,000. So everybody looks, they clap, everybody's excited. So he says, I hope that you all understand what that conversation just meant. I hope you all heard that. And so the mayor said, well, I certainly did, because the second thing we need is cell phone coverage. Look, it's important for us to have a governor like we've had, who's honest, who listens to us, who lets us come to the table and voice our concerns and even our gripes sometimes. We appreciate you, Governor, and we thank you for your service.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Now it's my honor to call my friend Mayor Stacy Mitchell, Mayor of the great city of West Monroe, to come up and offer a few remarks. Mayor?
Thank you. I will be very quick because this is easy. Going behind, usually don't go follow Shane and Matt and Gerald, but they all said everything so great. I mean, I agree with all of their their remarks and their thoughts. Governor Edwards, I do thank you for your leadership. I know the city of West Monroe is due, we either have received or we are due to receive more capital outlay money than we have ever, and we have more projects going than we have ever had, and these are projects that are going to make true life-changing differences in the community. So for that, I do say thank you. And I also want to let everybody know I was not the last person here. Shane was later. So I know y'all saw me running in, but Shane was later, just by a few minutes. But I do apologize for keeping y'all waiting and, of course, keeping the governor waiting. But thank you. Everybody seems to be happy and having a good time today, and it's great to see so many happy faces.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And I was just informed that Mayor Killam from Mangum is here. Mayor, where are you at? Give us a big wave if you're here. There you are, right out there. Good to see you. Now, it's my honor to call the Honorable Friday Ellis, Mayor of the great city of Monroe, and my friend up to offer a welcome.
Well, y'all already know I'm going to take a point of privilege here today, so I will not be brief because I have a lot to say about this governor in every best way possible. First of all, I want to express our deepest gratitude and admiration for your leadership during these times and throughout the state, and especially in its most challenging times, sir. I don't have to remind you of all the things that you faced, but you stayed steadfast throughout the odds. And as a new mayor, as somebody that we're learning, you've always made your staff available to me. You've always made your staff available to us, and I appreciate that. And also, from one veteran to another, I really appreciate your dedication to this state, sir. It's been wonderful to be able to work with you through these times. But one person I want to mention here that usually doesn't get mentioned, I want to say thank you to First Lady Donna Edwards. I understand that being in office, what it means sometimes to go through this, to have a partner with you to run that race. And I often say it's times that we feel like we want to fall apart, and they put us back together. And serving alongside an educator, sir, I just want you to bring back a message from North Louisiana. We appreciate her attention to children in the state of Louisiana, and we appreciate her support for you during these times. And so also, before you leave, sir, I want to thank you for a few things. The first of all of which, I know the money has been tied up in years in P5, but it's number one in your heart, sir. I know the Kansas Lane Extension and the Kansas Garrett interchange has been a wonderful project, and it means so much to have that support. We as business owners in the chamber came to you. You laid out a pathway, and you kept good on your word, sir. So that means a lot. Roy's the happiest person in the room. Where's Sue Nicholson and where's the OGs on that project? They're happier than anybody right now that they don't have to go back hat in hand. You also want to say dollars that were dedicated to flood mitigation, such as the Young's Bayou Channel enhancement. Going to be great for quality of life for folks here. The Biomedical Innovation Research Park is going to be life-changing, where research will be done by the university and other people to one day keep grinding away for the cure to cancer and other diseases. And what a wonderful, wonderful gift to this city, and what a wonderful gift to our community as well. I also want to say thank you for the higher ed investment. If any of you here in the room have been paying attention to Dr. Berry for the last few days, with the work with our delegation, $90 million in investment to higher education here in Northeast Louisiana, and that's worth a round of applause. To the Children's Museum for a place where our kids can learn to dream, to learn STEM from some of our wonderful community partners as well. And sir, I just want to say thank you for all of your investment and all of your time and effort here in Northeast Louisiana. And I'll also take a personal point of privilege because one of my jobs as mayor, I get to do something really cool. And I get to give away the key to the city of Monroe. And sir, you have definitely deserved it. You've definitely earned it. And this key signifies you're welcome back anytime, sir, that you're here in Monroe. And I would like to present this key to the city to Governor John Bell Edwards. Now, as you know, we do things a little different, and I couldn't find a keychain for this key, but here it is, sir. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, it's my honor to introduce Jay Mulhern, Chairman of the 2023 Monroe Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, to introduce the Governor. Jay.
Thank you, Roy. It's my honor and pleasure to introduce Governor Edwards. Governor John Bell Edwards was born 7th out of 8 children to Sheriff Frank Jr. and Doreen Edwards. He grew up in Amite, a rural town in Tangipahoa Parish. The governor graduated from the United States Military Academy at West Point in 1988. He served on active duty for 8 years, earning airborne, ranger, and jumpmaster status. Governor Edwards retired from the Army with the rank of captain. He moved back home and earned a law degree from Louisiana State University before opening a civil law practice. In 2008, he was elected to the Louisiana House of Representatives, where he served for 8 years. On January 11, 2016, John Bell Edwards was sworn in as the 56th governor of Louisiana. On January 13, 2020, Governor Edwards was sworn in for his second term. He and First Lady Donna Edwards have 3 children, Samantha Bell, Sarah Ellen, and John Miller. Please join me in welcoming Governor John Bell Edwards.
Thank you. Thank you all. I appreciate the introduction, Jay. Roy, it's great to be back with you and with all of you. And I am mindful that every time I do something now, and something that I've done on an annual basis, I'm doing it for the last time as governor. So I want to just thank you all for the opportunity that I have had to serve the state of Louisiana. It has been just a wonderful experience, and working together, I believe we have made just tremendous progress on so many fronts, and I'll talk about some of that in just a moment. But first things first, I will be back in 2 weeks when Army comes in to play ULM, and my prediction is it is going to be very hot. I think it'll be a great football game, and actually I'm excited because Army's going to come to Louisiana twice this year. They'll play at LSU in October as well for my 35th class reunion. In fact, they're going to come to Louisiana for that game. I'm excited about that. It's exciting to be on a college campus at this time of year when you're starting a new academic year, and there's always just so much going on, and everybody's excited. And then I think this year in particular, Dr. Berry and his folks here at ULM, but also Chancellor Esters at Delta, there's just so much more happening in higher ed than just a few years ago. The operational funding is the best it's ever been. TOPS is fully funded. Need-based aid for higher education is several times higher than it was when I became governor. And then on the capital construction side, more funding than we have ever had. And I start there because we're on this beautiful campus. And by the way, this room is full. I don't know if y'all, I wish you could see it from up here. But this beautiful facility, the room is full. Thank you for coming out. The number one reason I ran for governor is because we had disinvested in higher education more than any other state in the nation over the several years before I ran. And I really wanted to turn that around. We have done that. It hasn't been easy because we started off with the largest budget deficit in the history of our state. It exceeded $2 billion. But we have, working with the legislature, working with local government officials, working with the higher ed community, you name it, we've been able to do that. And now Dr. Berry has the ability to actually be the president of ULM and try to figure out how we're going to attract and retain the very best students, the very best faculty, how we're going to deliver better education, do better research. What improvements do we need on our campus? Because years ago, they're spending their time trying to figure out how we're going to keep the lights on. And it makes a tremendous difference when you want to keep your best and brightest at home and give them opportunities for success. You've got to invest in that. It doesn't just happen. And I may say this again before I'm finished today. You cannot invest what you do not have. That's true at home. It's true at church. It's true in business, and it's certainly true for the state of Louisiana. But we have accomplished so much over the past, it's going on 8 years now. All of it done together. You know, we had that $2 billion budget deficit. Right now, we have right at $3 billion in our savings accounts and a balanced budget. And we're making the best and biggest investments we've ever made. We have the lowest unemployment ever measured in the month of June. Next week, we will announce July. Just be paying attention. I have a suspicion it's going to be pretty good too. The budget passed this year contains a $2,000 pay raise for teachers, $1,000 for school support workers. And it should have been in the MFP, it wasn't, but at the end of the day, a resolution was passed by the legislature expressing their support that it be included in the MFP so that it'll be a recurring raise as opposed to a one-time stipend. I'm certain that that will happen. But that brings the total teacher pay raise in Louisiana since 2019 to $5,300. Incredibly important if you're going to have professional, motivated teachers in the classroom with our students. And by the way, that is still the #1 ingredient for quality education. Significant funding for early childhood education. In fact, this year, the largest amount of state general fund ever in early childhood education. I'm gonna pause for just a second and share with you all my thoughts. If we together, and I know we do, if we want to transform education, if we want to achieve the outcomes that we've always wanted, you do that by investing in early childhood education, and you do it for a generation. You don't do it some years and then not some years. Because we have too many kids who start school and they're not ready to learn. We do as good a job as anybody in the country educating those who show up ready to learn. We have too many who are not. The way you address that is early childhood education. And if we will do it for a generation and do it steadily, we will be exactly where we want to be with education. But it takes a long-term commitment to stay on the path that we are on right now. You just heard about the major investments in higher education. That obviously isn't just at ULM and Delta, it's all over the state of Louisiana. This year we figured that we needed to reward our Louisiana National Guardsmen who are called on over and over and over again, so we're not going to make them pay the mandatory fees at higher ed so that they can get their degrees. We have a permanent supplemental pay increase for law enforcement and firefighters in this budget. Historic investments in roads, bridges, ports, and other infrastructure, more on that in a moment. Historic payments to decrease our debt. Investments in our state savings account. I told you a while ago, we're approaching $3 billion at the moment. Funding for the fortified roof and insurance incentive funds, which are long-term investments in the health of our insurance market and trying to minimize the likelihood of severe damage when storms do happen. Worried about that. We're in hurricane season now. The Gulf has never been hotter. I wake up every morning and pray for protection. I'm just going to ask you to do that too, but also let's be prepared. And I know sometimes hurricanes aren't really given a lot of consideration in North Louisiana, but I will remind you that in 2020, we had a hurricane that actually came through this area, went into Arkansas at hurricane strength. And that happens when you have superheated water in the Gulf because it feeds all that energy into the storm. So please be ready. Issued a declaration yesterday for an emergency because of the drought and because of excessive heat. A big part of that is a burn ban because we have wildfires right now that are very hard to put out, principally in Sabine Parish. You probably hadn't heard much about it. I think 20 homes have been destroyed, numerous vehicles, thank God nobody killed. But firefighters are having a hard time because they have to be pulled off the line every couple of hours for IVs. So I'm asking you, honor the burn ban. we flew into the airport a while ago, and about 2 blocks from the airport, there's somebody burning something out in one of those fields. It really is very important that we do that right now. And that was something that Commissioner Strain actually called me over the weekend and asked me to please do. And as it happened, we had the order at the Secretary of State's office on Friday, but it got issued yesterday. So I want to talk a little bit about infrastructure. When I'm visiting with folks from police juries and mayors and so forth, they want to know what are we doing. I want to highlight some of the progress that we're making here in Northeast Louisiana and around the state. We have new construction, we have preservation work going on, and to put it in perspective, we have invested over $525 million in more than 250 projects in the Northeast region of the state over the last 8 years. And statewide, I can tell you that we've invested more than $7 billion in the form of 2,400 infrastructure projects. They come in many forms, from safety to new construction to pavement preservation and so forth. We have cut the ribbon on the Arkansas Road, $33 million investment on LA 616, widening and roundabouts in West Monroe. In partnership with the city of Monroe, we also recently turned dirt on phase 1 of the Kansas Lane Extension project. I think that phase was $17 million. While that new roadway will be city-owned, DOTD does play a critical role in the development, design, and construction coordination. And one of the things that we've always tried to do is find our way to yes. Even when you're resource constrained, find your way to yes. I have been able to work with the folks here in Ouachita Parish and in Monroe and West Monroe to way more than often than not to find our way to yes. And it has been a pleasure to work with you all. We're making improvements to safety along the US 165 corridor in the town of Ridgewood, installing new roadway lighting. By the way, one of the highest rates of pedestrian accidents anywhere in the state, and so that's going to add to safety. But we're also changing the speed limit and doing other things to bring more safety. Work with you on that, Mayor. The I-20 corridor is getting some major improvements in both Monroe and West Monroe. In Monroe, I-20 will be widened from US 165 eastward for 2 miles. That project is able to move forward because of 2020 Coronavirus Response and Relief Supplemental Appropriation Act funding. That project will go to bid next fall and should cost about $18 to $20 million. All of our projects are coming in well over what we estimate them, by the way. Another in West Monroe will also be adding a third lane in each direction on I-20 from Well Road to Stella Mill, a little over 3 miles. So this is a capacity project made possible by the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. We're on track now to let the project in fiscal year 25. That's going to be about a $65 million investment. And this is just a few of the things that we have going on transportation infrastructure. And we actually have more investments than at any point ever because we are investing in our capital construction program, because we're taking a third of our surplus dollars and allocating them to transportation projects, and also because of the bipartisan infrastructure law that Congress passed that is making it possible to do things like get started in a real serious way with broadband expansion. Now, y'all know we took $177 million of rescue plan money, put it towards the Gumbo program, a grant program. We leveraged more money from the private internet service provider, so there's over $300 million being spent right now all over Louisiana to connect 80,000 addresses previously unserved with affordable high-speed internet. Well, our allocation from the bipartisan infrastructure law is $1.3 billion to go on top of that, and we're going to run Gumbo 2. And we believe that well before 2029, we will have eliminated the digital divide in Louisiana by having true high-speed broadband at every address, business and residential, in the state of Louisiana. And we started that in Northeast Louisiana. The first grant that we announced was actually in East Carroll Parish, because we know how important that is. Y'all know we expanded Medicaid my first day in office. We got about 500,000 working poor with health insurance coverage. We had one of the highest percentages of uninsured people in this country when I became governor. It's below the national average today. It's one of the ways that we have improved the bottom lines of our hospitals, because they're distributing less unreimbursed care. And it's also a way we address the budget deficit, because we can provide Medicaid for 10 cents on the dollar, whereas if an uninsured person goes to the hospital, for example, it costs about 40 cents on the dollar. And the 40 cents is coming from the state. The 10 cents to give them the coverage is coming from the hospitals that are assessing themselves, because their bottom line is so much better because of the program. And so all of that means that we're able to invest more in our people, more in healthcare delivery, while improving the bottom lines, not just the hospitals, but of the state. And I know that there were some folks who were questioning that decision. I am very gratified by the fact that all of the candidates running for governor today, I believe all of them, have said that they intend to keep the Medicaid expansion, which has been so good for our state, and particularly good for Northeast Louisiana. As I reflect back on the nearly 8 years now as governor, I want to know I've been encouraged way more times than I've been disappointed. Because the people of Louisiana are good, generous, decent people who really do want to come together, work together, and just chart a course through all of the choppy waters. And it has been challenging. I will tell you, the budget deficit, the pandemic, during the pandemic, the first 2 years, 2020 and 2021, 5 hurricanes, 2 of them the strongest to ever hit our state. And yet through it all, we're here and we can point to metric after metric where the state of Louisiana is just demonstrably better. We're better off than we were. Not that we're without challenges, not that there isn't a lot of work to be done, and I suspect that's always going to be the case. But the things that we've been able to do, by definition, they all had to happen on a bipartisan basis. The most important of those things had to happen with a 2/3 vote of a legislature that is a majority Republican while I'm Democrat. There are not a lot of places in the country that are working together to the extent that we are here in Louisiana. And so I look over at the legislators over there, and some are not here with us today, and I want to thank you. And it's not been easy. I think Roy a while ago, I forget how he said it, but he talked about me being steady or something like that. Some legislators just say I'm hard-headed. But we have worked together well, and I think that is a recipe for success. And too little of that happens in Washington. Quite frankly, it's getting harder to do here in Louisiana as well, but I do believe we're all best served when people come together. And we worked really hard to be transparent, passing honest, fiscally sound budgets that are free from gimmicks, have no one-time money lined up against recurring expenditures. Not a single dollar since we've been governor has done that. And as a result, we've actually had a surplus every single year that I've been governor, and we've never had a mid-year budget cut. And maybe it sounds like ancient history, but those things were routine and extremely destabilizing before I became governor. And it's difficult work. But the architect of that happens to be with me here today. And he doesn't travel with me often. He stays in Baton Rouge doing the hard work there at the Division of Administration. But I want to tell you all how proud I am, how thankful I am for Jay Darden and the work that he has done. we were $2 billion short, offered him 2 or 3 different jobs in the administration. One of them was commissioner. Knowing it was the hardest job in state government, I had no expectation he would say, I want to be the commissioner. But thank you so much for doing it, Jay. Economic development. I don't know if you've seen, but we've had some of the biggest announcements in the history of our state here recently. We're diversifying, we're growing the economy. This is happening all over the state. Capital investments each of the last 2 years, a little over $20 billion. We went over $20 billion this year by the halfway point. Think about that. We're recently recognized by National Site Selection Magazine as having the #1 tech talent pipeline in the United States. The publication said this, investment into the cyber corridor in the northern part of the state are drawing academia, industry, and government resources in supporting the demand for talent. And more, when I meet with CEOs looking to make a decision about where to invest, where to grow their business, yeah, they want to know what your road infrastructure looks like and all of that sort of stuff. But more and more, it's all about the talent. Are they going to be able to hire the workers with the requisite skills and knowledge in the numbers that they're going to need to be successful? It's another reason why we have to keep investing in education, particularly higher education. I'm going to take it a little step further, and I will tell you that Northeast Louisiana is fast becoming a national model for technology workforce development through higher education partnerships. And we can start at ULM. The Biomedical Research and Innovation Park on the campus here secured $3.6 million in federal, state, and local grants to create a 45,000 square foot biotechnology hub next to the School of Pharmacy, which we are funding better than we've ever funded, by the way. That's an extraordinarily high cost program, but it was never reflected before. The true cost of it wasn't reflected in what we were sending ULM to run that program with. But we're doing better, and I thank you for your work on that. The total capital investment is projected to eventually reach $34 million and create 200 new jobs here in the Monroe area. Y'all know Lumen Technologies donated its Monroe headquarters to ULM, providing the school with ready-made space for expanding programs to prepare students for careers in the fast-growing tech sector. Grambling established the Friends of Technology Advisory Board to oversee the implementation of digital technology on campus. And that board includes 13 top executives and organizations, including NASA and Salesforce. In partnership with the LED Fast Start, the nation's #1 workforce development program for, I think, 14 years running now. Grambling has established relationships with leading technology employers from the state, including CGI, DXC Technology, GDIT, IBM, Lumen, and Microsoft. And Louisiana Tech, working closely with GDIT, created a new technology center, expanded its faculty for technology programs, and increased the number of students graduating with a Bachelor of Science degrees by over 170%. When businesses and higher education work together in this fashion, we produce more students who are better prepared for higher paying jobs and wonderful careers right here in Louisiana. This is the result that the result is that more tech companies are bringing high paying jobs to Louisiana because they have confidence in the workforce. And so I congratulate the many business and community leaders who are here today that have had the foresight to take the necessary steps to ensure that the jobs of the future and the workforce of the future are created right here in Northeast Louisiana. I'm gonna wrap up now and kind of where I started. Yeah, my time as governor is coming to a close at the end of the year on January the 8th. I'm often asked what I'm gonna do when I retire. I don't know, because that's not happening next year. I will be working somewhere on January the 9th. But between now and then, we have a full slate of work to do. And we have lots of ribbon cuttings and groundbreakings and announcements to be made. Some of those will be right here in Northeast Louisiana. And so don't hesitate to call on us. We're working hard every single day. You know, my baseball coach said you always have to run through the base. You have to run, and we're going to run all the way through. And so call on me if we can be of assistance to you. And then finally, again, thank you for the opportunity that you all have allowed me to serve. It has been the honor of a lifetime. We have worked extremely hard. The success, to the extent that we've had success, and I think it's considerable, it's because of your involvement. It's because of your help. It's because we were always in this together. And I think that's a good model for the future. I do want to congratulate you all because this is one of the nicest annual gatherings of business and community leaders that I've had the privilege of attending over the time that I have been governor. It shows up not just in the number of people who come to these events, but the genuine excitement that you can sense. And I think Roy's exactly right. Northeast Louisiana has a lot of momentum right now. There are things happening that have been desired for a long time. You all are responsible for that. But there will never come a day when you're going to be able to spike the ball in the end zone and say, we're done, mission accomplished. There's always something bigger and better and newer and important to keep working at. And I know that the spirit that you all have will require you to keep moving in that direction. So thank you for what you do. God bless you. I say that like I'm leaving now. I've got some more time. And so do call on me if I can be of assistance to you. I can assure you these mayors have my phone number, and they don't hesitate. I am excited to tell you that we're headed to Poverty Point in just a few minutes. And we're going to be making a big grand announcement there about how to improve that UNESCO World Heritage Site so that more people will know about it and can go there and learn and visit. And that's important for a lot of different reasons, but that's also potentially going to be helping the economy in this area. So we're headed out there. I'm hoping it's an inside event, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. And I do hope to see Francis Thompson out there because he has been the champion for Poverty Point in the legislature for a long time. I think the very first time I met him, I was a new state representative. He was a senator at the time. He let me know he was from Del High, and I think the second thing he told me was about Poverty Point. I know that family is really struggling with a lot of grief right now. So please lift them up in prayer. Prayer is awesome. And I know that there's a room of believers in this building right now, a lot of you. So let's lift up that family in prayer so that they can somehow find peace and comfort and get through this because the tragedy that unfolded yesterday is beyond description, just beyond description. Look, God bless y'all. Thank you so much.
Governor, don't sit down. Northeast Louisiana Children's Museum, Dawn and Melissa have made you a hat. Not many of us have this. It says it's a beautiful day in 318. And we always want you to remember that it's a beautiful day up here. Thank you very much. There you go. Now, to honor your service to our state and to your military service, we purchased from our good friend Nell Calloway out at the Chenault Aviation Museum and Military History Museum, 2 bricks, one in your honor and one in the First Lady's honor right there. So there you go right there. So that'll always be there. And there's First Lady. Now this is really cool. This is a legal tender $2 bill, and it really is. It's legal, and it honors the P-40 and the Flying Tigers, and that's a gift from the museum as well. And
Where's my lawyer? Can I take this?
yeah, we checked. We had a lot of back and forth conversations. And this is a Christmas ornament of the P-40 that we want you. It's a breakfast, not a lunch. Shane, it's a breakfast, not a lunch.